All right. Welcome to Camp Content. We're coming in hot per usual. We have a special guest. He is a game changer in the realm of software quality assurance. Jay Aigner is the mastermind behind JDAQA, which is a company that sets out to handle all your testing headaches and heartaches so you can get back to what you love, which is building cool stuff. So what does that mean? If you have an app, if you have like a new app that you're rolling out, or software company, and you have some programs you're rolling out, they're the guys that are going to do all the testing to make sure that it works and your phone line doesn't crash from people calling you telling you that it doesn't work. Unlike other competitors, JDAQA narrows their focus solely on providing top-tier software Q&A, ensuring they deliver nothing short of world-class processes and expert teams to their clients. So we're also going to talk about how quality assurance and all of this wraps in with content marketing and email marketing and cold emailing and all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited to welcome Jay to the show today. Thanks for coming to Camp Content, Jay.
Thanks, Molly. You're fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell me a little bit about the history of the company. How long ago did you form it, and what was the motivation behind doing so?
Around 7 years ago, I used my kids as milestones for just about everything to remember when things happened. And money. Money was the motivator. My wife was a nurse. She worked overnight. Really crappy job. And I wanted to get her out of it. I wanted her to be able to stay home with the kids. And so I started picking up contracts online on Upwork. Used to be Elance back in the day. And just kind of slowly built it into a thing that, now we have 60 people. We're across multiple continents. We got a bunch of long-term clients. And my wife has been home for years, and now she's trying to start her own business doing nursing, but that's for another show.
That's right. We'll have her on next week.
Yeah, have her on soon enough. Yeah.
Talk about that. That's impressive, man. That's a lot of employees. That's a lot of growth in a short period of time. Man, that's pretty impressive. How did you get into that quality? I mean, that's a pretty specific thing. I didn't even realize, like, we build websites and we do a little testing, but it's a little bit informal, right? I didn't realize that people actually outsourced companies to do that. That's, I mean, it makes sense, but so who are some of the bigger clients that you've worked with?
So kind of our actually had lunch with their CEO yesterday. It was a company called Reversion out of New York. Was kind of our unicorn, where we started with them as they were at 30 people, and as their product and team grew up to like 200, 250 people, they got acquired. We were still their QA company after that. So like that's a pretty big example. We have some Fortune 500 companies that we work with doing performance testing. We do a lot of security testing. So we work with a lot of different size companies, everywhere from, small, medium-sized business up to enterprise. But that, I like to say 8 to 80 size is kind of our sweet spot that doesn't have a QA team, where, the developers are doing the QA, the project managers are doing the QA, the C-level people are doing QA. Like, everybody's just testing the application, and they're just trying to get it done because they don't know what browsers to use, or what devices do I test on. Like, how do I test this thing to make sure 10,000 people can log on at the same time? Like, they don't want to invest in that. And it's a very cyclical process too, where there's a lot of work and then there's no work. So having a team like mine, where we're not W-2, we're 1099 contractors, we can come in a scalable kind of way. When you need us, we're there to scale up for around big releases, and then when you don't need us, we kind of scale back down. And it's a very cost-effective way to really ensure you have a high-quality software product.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? You're the pinch hitters. You get called in when you really need it, and you do a great job. And yeah, I mean, even if I was to test something, I couldn't test 10,000 people using it at the same time. I wouldn't even know where to begin with all of that. Just from a business perspective, do you find that churn difficult? Like, do you constantly have to find new clients because of that? Or are they coming back to you? Because most people build in their businesses now, like, pay us forever, pay us every month forever, and hope you just don't notice that you're giving us all this money, right? That seems to be the MO. Yours is like, hey, you don't need us for that long. So does that put you in that?
I would take your analogy and tweak it a little bit. I would say we're more like the designated hitter than the pinch hitter, right? Like, we're there, like, we're part of the lineup. We're gonna be there every game.
Just called upon when needed.
Just called upon when needed, right? Like, you don't need us to write code. You don't need us to deploy the code. You need us to get in there and test the thing when it needs. And that part just scales up and scales down kind of continuously. So we are just like most businesses. We like to engage in long-term relationships. We don't want the churn. We don't want, short-term projects most of the time. Now, if they're for, enterprise where we're doing big, giant one-off projects, those are a little more palatable, obviously. But even those companies come back to us and say, all right, now we've got the next big release is going out. We need you guys to do this big round of performance testing on it again. So yeah, no, we're very much in the long-term relationship building kind of thing. And once people see how nice it is to be able to have a scalable team, we tend to stick with people for a long time. And we get a lot of subject matter expertise about the product too, right? Like as we learn it and document it and test it, who better to keep around than the people who know how this thing broke last time, right? So it's a pretty sticky engagement for us, which we like to work with people for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, instead of looking at it from a perspective of, oh, they did such a good job, we're not going to need them again. It's like, no, they did a good job. So it's like, if we get in a bind because we did a good job and we launched, and now we're growing, and we're going to get in a bind again if we keep progressing and getting better. So we're going to at some point the bases are going to be loaded. We're going to need two to come in. So we're just going to call them up, pop it in, and we're good, and just keep that long term.
I knew Matt was going to get in the game when you made a sports analogy. I saw Matt's face.
Is that a hockey board behind you back there?
It is, yes.
Okay, all my kids play hockey, so
there you go.
Unfortunately,
we could go off the rails here, but
we can do a hockey podcast if we want.
What program do they play for?
They play for the Royals. Black Bear,
gotcha.
I think is the name of it.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
gotcha.
All right.
Matt is
talk for hours.
Matt's the hockey coach for like some teenage girls, and they do really well. They win and they travel all over. He's an excellent coach. Yeah, man.
I love that. All right.
Yeah, super cool.
Very
for
cool.
Sure.
There we go.
All right. So speaking of clients and client acquisition, I like your analogy. It's very helpful. We're kind of the same. A lot of our clients come back to us because it works really well and they don't want to find somebody else. But in regards to finding new clients, right, you seem to have some knowledge about how to get leads on LinkedIn, right, which I'm curious about because I feel like I delete more emails and connection requests than actually read them at this point. So I'm curious, like, how are you guys getting your leads for new business? Is that from LinkedIn or how are you doing that?
I think that if you only have one sales channel, you're not going to have a business for very long. So LinkedIn is one of our sales channels. And there's also like multiple ways to engage in each sales platform, right? So with LinkedIn, there's the long play, right? Where you're just making connections with people who are connected to people that you know already that are in your area, right? I mean, that's the easiest way. The best way, anybody that ever asks, I say, just find the people that are in your area. I'm in Philly, like go look for Philly CTOs and VP of engineering, like who is more likely to connect with you? Somebody who lives in your state or somebody like far away that's never even heard of you or your company before? So like I try to connect with people who are in my area. That will typically lead to either a direct message conversation or I'll wait a while and then I'll come back and just ask directly like, hey, how are you guys doing with QA? Right? And so a very short, direct. We're already connected, so the barrier is gone. There's no like I don't ask anything on connection requests. That's like number one rule, right? Like you're gonna get shot down if you're trying to sell something in a connection request. And I'm not even really selling anything. Like I am providing value. And a lot of times, if we're working with a custom software development shop who makes products for other people, they mark up our rates to their customers and make money from working with us, right? So like there's not a lot of selling I have to do. I just have to show the value and then they take it. So yeah, so LinkedIn, I use Dripify, which is a million automation tools out there for LinkedIn if you want to kind of set it and forget it with connection requests. So I'll do a search in Philadelphia for CTOs, VP of engineering, different levels of engineering manager who are some of our target personas. I will queue them up in Dripify. There's a sequence that runs that's like, send a connection request. I use the sports teams in Philadelphia because I am a huge sports fan, obviously, but also it's a big sports town. So when the Eagles were doing great last year and they went to the Super Bowl, my message started with "Go Birds," right? And it was a great opener. I must have had a 40% connection request, acceptance rate with that. And then from there, that just makes connections with people. And then you kind of figure out, how do I have a conversation with this person without being salesy? Because then, the long game is to go out to lunch and to meet somebody and to know them and to, do that sort of thing, which that has turned into deals. There's direct ones where you're just like, how are you guys doing with QA? And they say, awful. And you get on a call and you say, well, we have a solution for you. And they're a client. So there's like a bunch of different kind of approaches you can take on LinkedIn. So that was a lot. So I'll pause there. But that's one of the channels we use to engage with people.
No, I love it because I want to be talked to the way that I talk, right? Like I don't want to be sold. I don't want a lot of adjectives.
Yeah.
I don't want a lot of fluff. Just I can either use your services or I can't, right? I either find value in it or I can't. And there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to convince me I need your services if I don't, right? And so I think there's real value in speaking the way you speak, because then you attract people who like to be spoken to that way. Like we did some cold outreach and it was like 2 sentences, like, hey, if I could help you do this, would you be interested?
Yep.
And I can't tell you how many people would sign up and say, I delete these in mass every single day, but I responded to yours. I don't know what it is. And then I get on the call and they're just like me. They're like, curse a little too much. Stand-up comedy is plan D. Don't really want to mess around. Have a goal in mind, have a company, trying to get something done, but don't want all the extra stuff. And so I found that I was getting all these people who really, like, we got along very well. And it was kind of a good lesson for me to, like, speak the way I want to speak, because it's going to attract people who are going to be able to hear me and I'm going to be able to understand them back. And so I think there's real value. I love the, like, sports team, like, go Birds. I grew up in
Be direct. Just be direct,
That's all you got to say.
Anybody
making
that decision doesn't need fluff. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that's all you got to say to anybody in Philly is go Birds, and you're good.
You're in the bag if you say go. No, now it's Phillies time, right? And when the Sixers were in the playoffs last year, it was go Sixers. So I mean, it's just
10, 9, 8. Yeah.
Got, right? I mean, unfortunately, the Flyers, Matt, are not going to be anything I use anytime soon. But if you're using the success of a sports team to get introductions, why not? Right? Like whatever works.
It sticks more when it's starting with natural conversation instead of, like you said, that automatic sales pitch. It's let's connect on a personal level and then get into it.
That's it.
Indeed. Okay, so let's talk about how to get started in the scary world of email, because you mentioned that as well. So how are you guys using email marketing? Because this is something I talk to a lot with my clients about, and it's just it's a whole thing out there. So I'm really curious how you look at email marketing.
It's a numbers game. End of story. You are not going to land a ton of business doing cold email unless you send a ton of emails. People are inundated with it. Everybody who's listening to this, and you guys, I'm sure, get millions of spam email a year, and you're just like, my God, stop. So if you're going to do email, you need to warm up an email box, right? Because you have to worry about deliverability. And all that means is, like, there's a bunch of services out there that you go buy a domain. Mine's JDAQA.com, right? So I bought JDAQA.co and JDAQA.net. You don't want to use your main email domain for sending mass email, because it's a great way to get all your normal accounts blocked, and just it's a mess, right? You don't want to do that. So you take those secondary emails you set up, you redirect your main website to those URLs, by the way. So, or you redirect those URLs to your website, right? So when somebody goes and says, who is this guy? And they go to JDAQA.co, it doesn't bomb out. It goes to your actual website. You go to these warm up your email inbox websites, and you put them in, and you basically let them bake for 3+ months or so. And they're just like blasting emails out to predefined email boxes that this company, these warm-up company boxes own. And what that does is basically increases the reputation of your email boxes and email accounts over the months. So then you can use these deliverability checkers to see if I send an email to an Outlook address, to a Gmail address, to a whatever address, what's the percentage chance that it's going to hit the inbox, right? And eventually it'll get to a point where it's 98, 99%, and you're not going to get caught by the spam filters. So at that point, you have a warmed up email box. And then from there, I use Apollo.io. There's like a million different email tools, but I like Apollo because you can prospect / target in Apollo. So I can segment and say, like, find all the people in Philly that are CTOs that are whatever, and add them to this sequence. And your sequence is a whole step. That could be its own podcast of just like how to write sequences and how to checking your your open rates in your first, second, third email, and then tweaking the content and doing all that different stuff. So trust me, it was a struggle to get to this point. Like, it took me a while to figure out what the hell I was even supposed to be doing. But we're sending out about 5,000 or 6,000 emails a month now.
Holy guacamole!
Which isn't that much in the scope of things, but from where I came from and just trying to individually find the companies that I wanted to send emails to, and then finding their email address, and then I was sending 10 a week, and you're not gonna get any calls doing 10 a week. So we've got some conversions off it. I've had some discovery calls. We've got some contracts out of it, and we've been running it for a couple months now, and it's, for the most part, it's set it and forget it. It's another one of those tools like LinkedIn where it's you can do the automated thing and you can play the numbers game like Dripify and the kind of mass connecting thing. And then you can also target people directly if you know somebody that knows somebody and you get a warm introduction from them, or so there's a kind of different flavors of doing cold email, but there's the mass. I say mass. I mean, some companies send 1 million a month. 5,000 is nothing, but so that's kind of our strategy for now, is to just let that rip and let the LinkedIn stuff rip. And then, on top of that, I'm doing a bunch of other stuff like podcasts and my own podcast and LinkedIn content marketing. And so having a bunch of different channels, I think, like I said, is really the way to be successful.
So that leads me to my next question. How are you finding a balance with all this? And, did you understand marketing, or is this something that you've learned in the process of being a business owner? You recognize that you just had to learn it, or is this something you've always been interested in?
It's definitely not something I've been interested in. I was not a marketer. The word marketer just seemed, salesman, just see the used car salesman in the plaid jacket kind of image, but
it's a weird mix between an influencer and a used car salesman. Yeah,
it is. No, I just kind of figured it out. I don't even think I have figured it out. I feel very frustrated sometimes because I know I've made a lot of progress, but then I go back and I'm like, I need to be doing more, like the LinkedIn content thing, just consistency, right? And becoming an expert and a thought leader or whatever. I hate that term, but just an expert in your field, so that when people see your stuff, they go, oh, that guy could do QA for us when we need it. And that's the biggest thing, right? You're not going to catch most of your B2B targets right at the moment where they need you. It's just there's a very small percentage that you're going to need QA at the moment they see my post or that I reach out or whatever. But if I'm top of mind, or if I'm around when they do need me, I have a good chance of connecting with those people and being a resource that they would go to. And I know some of my content stuff worked because one of my clients, who's a CTO, saw one of my posts and was like, hey man, I saw your post on automated testing tools. I really want to talk through which ones we should use and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, holy shit, that worked. He saw it and he liked it and he wanted my opinion, and we got on a call and we talked about it. And I was like, it kind of just proved to me that, I need to do more of that. It's very time consuming and can be a bit draining to create quality content over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's a fine line, right? Because there's good content on LinkedIn, and then there's people who just write content every day and they get lots of likes and comments, but it's it's a lot of posturing, and you're like, what do you even do? And
how do people get those likes though? Are they buying likes or something? I don't understand how these people are how these posts get 1,000 likes with some guy saying the same stuff that everybody else says. I don't get it.
You know what I think it is, honestly, and this is just the jerking me. It's pretty. My mom's from Brooklyn, my dad's from the Bronx. I blame it on them. But I think there's people who literally don't have jobs, don't have anything going on, and all they do is sit on LinkedIn all day, and they just go from post to post and comment and this and that and this and that. And I think that it's just like the same people commenting and liking over and over again. Because at the end of the day, like if I don't have time to be on LinkedIn like that, I scroll through, I like a few things. I might scroll for all of 4 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good on that. You know what I mean? Who has time? Do you have time to read paragraph long responses on 100 LinkedIn posts a day? You know who does? People who aren't working, people who aren't busy. And so I don't think that it's a metric at all. It's like, are you getting discovery calls? Are people inquiring? I think that having likes on your LinkedIn post isn't a metric at all, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, but the only thing is like it increases the impressions and visibility, I think, right? So it's like they get the carry on other people's feeds and they'll say, hey, this, so such and such like this post. And it's like maybe one of those people that was one of those impressions is a potential customer. So like I feel like they're gaming the system somehow. I mean, if anybody knows that, please email me and I'll pay you to like my post 1,000 times, just so I can get on other people's feeds.
Well, in my other room, I have a bank of cell phones on the wall. That's the secret to Heartcast Media.
You can help us test as well. You can be a hire to test for some mobile stuff.
That's too funny. Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated world out here, right? I go back and forth on the email sequences and all that because I think it's just annoying in a lot of ways, right? Like I had a sales meeting with some guy trying to pitch me on email services last week, but it was at 1 a.m., so I canceled it. I've gotten 7 emails from that guy in the last 4 days, and I'm like, listen, Luis, I don't even talk to my boyfriend this much. Like, we gotta reel this in, dude. You know what I mean? You have sent me way too many emails. We never met, and your email sequence is annoying me, and you sell email marketing. So I feel like every week I'm just convinced that there's a lot of bad information out there and a lot of people selling services because they know how to warm up a domain, but they don't know how to actually talk to people. Right. And so I'm super curious, like out of 5,000 emails you send out, like what does that translate? What is the math on that? Is it like direct mail, like 0.2%? Like, do you know what the return rate is?
I know that the open rates are somewhere between 30 and 40%.
Which is super good.
I think the replies are not super high. Again, it's a timing thing and it's a visibility thing, So I mean, how many people need QA right this second? It's going to be low. So I mean, yeah, it's probably sub 1% of like actual replies and discoveries from that. But at the same time, we've been running it for a couple months and we're tweaking all our stuff. So I mean, it's not super successful, but the fact that I got anything out of it and it cost me $100 a month to run 5,000 emails, like if I get one deal out of that a year, like that's 10 times more, than I'm paying for it. And it's kind of a set it and forget. I enjoy it. Like that's the one thing is as I've bought my time back in my business, by having, a bunch of assistants and like I have a really good operations lay at our business. Like I get to do the fun stuff now. Like that's fun to me. I love tools and I love figuring stuff out. And I love like playing with the, like, finding prospects and like that part is cool to me. Cause like you could be about to find your next big, whale that could be a $500,000 a year client. And like, I get to do that because I'm not, rescheduling, a podcast or like, doing all these different things that like I've kind of farmed off to other people now. So I enjoy that stuff. Like that's fun to me.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy the like figuring it all out and testing things. And I got to stop spending all my money on AppSumo, honestly, because I'm like a software junkie. I'm always like, ooh, would this work? Right on. Well, Jade, let me ask you something. I see that on your CTA here, you have a little thing about if you want, don't let your customers test your software. So if anybody is listening to this right now and they are curious about quality assurance on their product, their software, their business, whatever, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
JDAQA.com. Book a discovery call. Email me, j@jdaqa.com. Reach out on LinkedIn, J Aigner, Aigner. I think that's it. I'm around if you need me.
He's right. Well, you got like the setup. You got your on-air thing in the back there. You got a microphone, headphones.
Well, I have a
You're ready.
podcast. I have which I do use for marketing, by the way. Like I started to figure out how to use that to like have clients on that were a little more aligned with my target persona, and using that as another sales channel. So just trying to do it all.
Well, that's exactly it, Jay. I mean, that's what we teach over here at Heartcast Media is interview 10 people you want to do business with this year, or you want to continue doing business with this year, and not worry about interviewing a bunch of entrepreneurs about failure, but interview people you want to do business with and do a really good intro, and don't talk about yourself, and forge a relationship, and then nurture that relationship in the follow-up. And it works really, really well. And so it's good for visibility, right? But going on other people's podcasts can sometimes be better for visibility. It taps into new audiences where your podcast, since it's a harder lift to get a lot of downloads and stuff. And again, it's like 5,000 downloads, 5,000 emails went out, right? I'd be real curious to see what the conversion rate on that is. But if you interview somebody that you'd like to do business with, and you really create that relationship, then chances are that's going to be a higher conversion rate than the mass numbers. But it's like you said, it's a multifaceted approach to the whole operation. You can't just do one thing. That's not how you have to pop up in people's universes in multiple places to get that nod, if you will. So
I agree. Love it.
Right on. Well, Jay, hey, thanks for taking time. We actually scheduled our interview for Labor Day, so thanks for rescheduling that. I'm like, as a business owner, I'm like, what holiday? What is this?
Yeah, it's also Also, my team is not in the United States that does my scheduling, so that was not a surprise to me that Labor Day was not on the radar. So that was totally my fault. So, but I'm glad to have been on, and I look forward to a nice follow-up email from you.
It'll be there in 5 minutes, actually.
I bet it's automated, or if it's not, it should be. So, Molly, you're awesome. I really enjoyed meeting you. Enjoy the beautiful backdrop there. I'm very jealous. And Matt, good luck on the rest of your season, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good luck to the kids.
Thanks, man.
That's right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jay. And hey, when you guys are ready for your company retreat in Costa Rica, you hit me up. I got you.
I'm there. I'm there, babe.
That's my new goal in life is just bring everybody I like to work with and hang out with and just come to Costa Rica, and that's the plan.
Well, that's a good goal.
It's not a terrible
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great one. Thanks for tuning in to Camp Content. If you found this content valuable, please consider sharing it on LinkedIn and tagging us. Throw us a like that we've been talking about. And hit up Jay and his company. Check him out on his website. All the links are in the episode description. And until next time, be excellent to each other. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Camp Content. This is Molly.
And this is Matt.
And we are Heartcast Media, a.k.a. Camp Content, and we appreciate all of your support. If you found this content valuable, please comment on social media, LinkedIn, wherever you find us, and we will make sure to comment back.
And be sure to go on and subscribe and like on your favorite platforms, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, you name it. Leave us that subscription. Leave us that good review.
We'll love you forever. So until next time, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you next week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.